Are you doing your part to help Super Earth? Helldivers 2 has finally come out, and this has been a game that's kind of been on my radar for a while, with a premise that has you serving a fascist regime that takes itself so seriously it's funny, gameplay that is a addictive loop and ever evolving, and a live service that gives hope that this game has something to continue with itself for the future to come. Helldivers 2 culminates into the Starship Trooper game that we never got and didn't actually know we wanted. Now, this game has quite a few bugs in it. I'm not talking about the things that you shoot in the game, I'm talking about on release. I was stuck between playing this game on PC or console because I heard the PC port kind of had some difficulties. I decided to go into PC because I wanted to give you guys kind of the experience of what would happen if you played the worst versions of that. And honestly, they're not as bad as if you were to play a Bethesda game at launch. Really, nothing is game breaking. There are a couple of crashes. I myself didn't experience a crash, but playing with 3 other people, I did see 2 other of my teammates crash, and I think we had a total of 3 crashes entirely. There are some issues where you want to go pick up some things and you feel like something's just not quite working the way it's supposed to work because icons don't disappear, and you don't know if it's because you didn't find what you were looking for or if the thing just bugged and glitched somewhere. Some of the bigger alien bugs kind of get stuck and sit places. There seems to be issues whenever you get rewards and other party members aren't receiving the same rewards or mission accomplishes that you are. So all in all, yes, there are bugs in this game. However, nothing really that takes you out of it unless you actually literally crash, or anything that stops you from continuing having fun or playing the game hours on end. And honestly, guys, that's my biggest critique. The atmosphere and the aesthetics of the game are just wonderful to enjoy. Right off the bat, you are sent to training. Once you get your boot camp done, you get your own ship, and then you get to go help at the battlefront. Seeing a representation of all the other players that are in the area and fighting the bugs on the planet that you're fighting is really cool to look at. Watching as you go from one side of the planet to another side of the planet in real time is really fun to enjoy at the front of your deck. It also gives this cool, feeling that you're part of something as a community, that there's this giant galactic threat and we all have to come together in the thousands, if not hundreds of thousands, to defeat this threat. And if you look at the stats right here, you can see that this game's been popping off. And that's because the gameplay is absolutely wild. The objectives can be very simplistic, as in going to a bug's nest and just closing up the holes. There are other more complicated tasks, like having to fix a antenna dish, where you can have one party member tell you where you need to point it and the other one is kind of turning the wheel to make it happen. There are launch code sequences you have to set up that have multiple steps to them, and you have to manually open some things. You have to put in codes and inputs to do other things, or maybe sometimes you just have to have someone that's a pack mule and all they get is their sidearm and they have to run across the map in order to deliver a package of sorts. There is such a variety of missions, and the missions aren't like your standard Destiny type missions. No, the bugs go on patrol. They see this as their territory. You could be taking out a nest and then a patrol of bugs show up, or maybe you have one of the bugs call for reinforcements and then you have a kind of impromptu evac hole where bugs are spawning non-stop that you have to take care of. But on top of the classic game modes, they have more innovative ways of playing that keep you engaged and immersed into the experience. Part of that is kind of the stratagems, where you don't just call down a kill streak like you're playing Call of Duty and you've racked up 20 kills on some noobs because you're in a pub stomping lobby. You feel terrified, you feel overwhelmed by the amount of forces coming at you, to the point where you feel like you need to use your stratagems. You can lay down landmines for them to walk into. It could be an orbital strike, a laser strike, a strafing run. You can call down turrets. You can ask for a robot companion that flies next to you that shoots lasers at the bugs and helps you throughout your mission. There are so many ways for you to play, and there's no set class. Not only that, but the environment also plays a factor into the game. There are bushes that slow you down. There are little pods that explode and create smoke and blind you. There are other things that just leech onto you and drain your stamina. Not everything hurts you like red explosive barrels, but they will hinder you, and in moments where you don't need them to bother you, they will bother you the most, making it to where you have to be aware of your surroundings. I mentioned earlier that this game is kind of a live service as well. I've talked a lot of trash about live services, being that you're either a winner in the games or you're a cuck. It can be really frustrating and annoying playing a live service game and not paying any money for it, especially if you don't have the money for it or you don't see value in the things that need to be paid for it. Considering that this game is sort of just always co-op and there's never really any PvP, I think being able to spend money to get other items or actual weapons faster isn't so much of a bad thing. And yes, you can work your way up to free items, but it is a grind. Now, I am a supporter of live service games. I like the concept and the idea of them. I don't like when they're put into mediocre games or games that are definitely more focused on the money than the gameplay itself. Helldivers 2 definitely focuses more on the gameplay and the more fun aspect, thinking of what is more fun. Even if you do dish out money, you still have to kind of play the game and progress through the game to unlock the things in the DLC Battle Pass that you did pay money for. Otherwise, you can still progress through the normal battle pass that will eventually get you to the new one. I hope it kind of works out how Halo Infinite does. As much as I don't want to compliment that game, our battle passes never really go away. I love getting together with the boys and just having some fun. Helldivers 2 is able to give you that experience that makes you feel nostalgic and want to sit on a couch and put that small TV of yours on 4-screen split screen. Helldivers 2 isn't even $60. The game is roughly around $30, $40 on Steam, and people are loving it for good reason. If you're a fan of shooters, survival, and you want to play with your buddies, this is the game for you. Yes, you can play this game solo and do things on your own, and if you're like me and you don't like talking to people or interacting with other people, there's a fantastic ping system in the game to allow you to interact with people. With all these features and more in mind for Helldivers 2, I gotta give Helldivers 2 a 10 out of 10. If you're playing with friends. Now, if you're playing solo, you may not feel like the experience is catered towards you, which in that case, honestly, playing by myself, the game is more of a 8 out of 10, 9 out of 10 experience. So until next time, play nice, guys.